Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another night of empowerment before 2026. So, tonight we are actually going to talk about a ritual called mirror journaling. Now, don't let the word ritual fool you. It's actually going to be very easy and simple, and more importantly, it's going to dive a little deeper into you to help you address a few things and, even better, be more yourself for 2026. Because we're not going to do this in a way that mirror journaling is usually taught. Instead, we're not going to be forcing positivity. We're not going to try and overwrite all the parts of yourself that feel heavy or inconvenient. Absolutely not. Because, like I said, this is all about being authentic, being yourself. Mirror journaling, when it's done gently, is speaking to your shadow self instead of trying to fix it, okay? It's about acknowledgement, not correction. We're not going to try and fix anything right now because some of your shadow points, as I've mentioned in a previous video, don't necessarily need to be fixed or worked on. Sometimes it's really just parts of yourself that you made to protect yourself. And you are more than welcome to check out that video whenever you get a chance. But for right now, let's just work on the mirror journaling because we are going to be making some affirmations for you. Note the we. I'm not going to actually give you too awful many. You are going to work on this with you with a little help because affirmations don't have to be shiny to be true. Not at all. So, in case you don't have a minute to go over that video real quick, as I mentioned, shadow portions of yourself aren't necessarily the ugly or bad side of yourself. Sometimes they are literally just parts of yourself that learn to adapt or hide or stay quiet because they were not fitting in the box. And unfortunately, sometimes those parts of yourself don't respond to traditional affirmations. The bright and shiny ones that look pretty and sound fabulous, but they're not hitting right. It's almost like an arrow that is just to the other side of the bullseye, whereas for everyone else, it's like, yeah, that's so beautiful. These shadow portions of yourself respond to just being seen, just being heard, just being noticed. Because right now, you're not confronting yourself on any measure. Absolutely not. You're not trying to heal anything. We are just practicing some relational trust with the most important in your life, you. Affirmations for shadow aren't demands by any means. They're just permissions. Permissions to be seen, permissions to be heard. Some examples of these are, you don't have to carry this alone. If you're one of those that tries to do everything yourself without ever asking for help when you know you need it. Or, I see why you learned this, in case you learned how to excessively watch your words when you're in a crowd. And another great example, and you don't have to write any of these, but you don't need to disappear for me to be okay. And this is for in case you have an overtly goofy side that everyone tells you is completely inappropriate, when in all actuality, it's probably one of the things that is one of the best parts about you. And in case you're feeling a little worried or a little uncomfortable already, resistance to this is normal because you're actually turning the view inside without any intention on fixing anything, just noticing. And that discomfort by no means means failure. Absolutely not. It's just a little scary. And that is fully understandable. Or if you're feeling just kind of neutral, not really one way or the other, fully valid response, because sometimes we don't notice all the things that we are hiding from our own self for our own personal comfort and, to a degree, safety. All around, it is totally fine. But if this is sounding up your alley, hold on to your britches, because we're going to jump into the first exercise. And yes, I said britches because some of my family's from the South. Don't judge. But this first exercise is for a deeper self-reflection and is typically best done, like many of these others, in private because it can be a little weird to share this experience with others. And hey, we don't judge here. If you feel comfortable having what I like to call a safety buddy, I highly encourage it, because if you know that you're going to dive accidentally a little too deep into yourself, that you might not be okay, having a safety buddy right there, fully valid. Because, hey, some of the stuff can accidentally trip you down a rabbit hole that gets a little deep. I know I've done it myself a few times and had to make a phone call. So, no judgment whatsoever. But if you feel safe enough to do this by yourself, kudos to you for being a heck of a lot braver than I am. But to get started with this first exercise, you're going to need a journal or some paper. I recommend a few sheets because you never know how deep of a dive you're going to go into yourself. A pen or some other preferred writing utensil. Color doesn't really matter, but I do recommend that you have a high contrast between your paper and your writing utensil, so you can actually look back later and see what really struck you and what you should probably pay a little closer attention to. And also because, let's face it, sometimes the lines do get a little blurry when you're crying. Hi. You're also going to need some type of a reflective surface as a mirror. Now, this could be in your bathroom mirror, a bedroom mirror, a compact mirror. Any mirror works as long as you're able to see yourself in it, even if it's just your phone screen or a TV that's turned off that happens to have a fabulously reflective surface, which ironically also works great as a black mirror. Shh, we'll get into that another time. But I also recommend that you have a candle or some other soft light, because that will also help you calm your brain enough to be able to do this exercise. Now, again, I do recommend that you do this with a little bit of privacy, and you don't need to stare intensely at yourself. You just need to be present for yourself right now. And I know that for a lot of us, that is very, very difficult. I know that I frequently make a joke that I try to leave myself at home, but it never works. So trust me when I say that I'm working through a lot of this stuff with you guys on different levels with different things. You are absolutely not alone in this. Even us experts are working on it. But for right now, I want you to sit or stand as comfortable as possible in front of your mirror, okay? And take 3 slow breaths. Now you can do this in the breathing exercise that I've mentioned in a few past videos, where you do the 5 in, hold for 2 or 3, and then breathe out for 7, or even just 3 non-measured but slow breaths. And then I want you to look at yourself square in the eyeballs, all right? And say, I'm listening. You can say this in your head or out loud, whatever volume. But I do recommend verbally instead of in your head, because that's really going to help you focus where you're at. Especially if you're like me, where your brain's a funny little squirrel on too much coffee. When you feel like you're starting to get these answers, begin writing affirmations to the parts of yourself that feel tired, guarded, resentful, unseen, anxious. I want you to write things to those parts of yourself that you know you are not letting out enough. And some examples to get you going. You are allowed to rest. I understand why you did this, because you're talking to yourself, but these are parts of you that you kept separate from you. You don't have to prove anything anymore. I'm not abandoning you. Because believe it or not, but there's parts of yourself that probably do feel abandoned even by your own self. And there's absolutely no shame in that, because we live in a world where we have to protect ourselves almost to the point of separating pieces of ourselves to be able to feel safe enough to go forward. But at the same time, those pieces eventually want to come back. Those pieces eventually want to be seen again and want to be back to the whole. And this can be done in either a sentence, several sentences, but once you get to a spot where you are feeling okay for the moment on the writing part, I want you to look back at yourself and take a deep breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth, to release a lot of that extra built up pressure from all of that energy that you just put in. And if emotions do come up, you don't need to push through them. Just let them flow to a point that still feels safe. And if they get to be a little much, that is still okay. Just sit down and breathe, okay? Don't freak out. Realize that these are just pieces of yourself that are finally being seen, and pieces of yourself might get a little overexcited about it. But something that might help you be able to tame the flow is, I want you to try saying, or even try thinking, I speak to myself with honesty and care. I offer safety, not pressure, to myself. And in case you need it one more time, I speak to myself with honesty and care. I offer safety, not pressure, to myself. And again, if you get a little overwhelmed by the emotions, there's absolutely no shame in it. Just give yourself a moment after you're done with the writing and let the emotions just go until they have finally settled down from finally being seen from who knows how long. I know in my case, some of my emotions got a little over happy for being tucked in a box for over 15 years. Kind of amazing on how many things can come up when you get started. But let's talk about exercise too. Now this one is more for when you're on the go and just need a moment to ground yourself, okay? It's very similar to one that we've done previously. Either on your chest, your solar plexus, or on your leg, I want you to rest a hand, or even, you know what? Activate both hands, because there's no shame in making sure that you give yourself as much of a grounded space as possible. And then I want you to say, either quietly or in your head, a part of me is reacting. And this could be in a case where you're anxious, where you feel cornered, where you feel like a shadow portion of yourself needs to be activated so that you can act normal. Okay? Now again, chest, solar plexus, or leg, a part of me is reacting. And then you can say any one of these responses. I see you. You're allowed to feel this. We'll come back to this later. Whichever one is most appropriate for that moment. Because sometimes we feel unseen, even by ourselves. But if we acknowledge that we see ourselves, that gives us actually a lot more comfort than you'd be amazed on, because how often do we neglect ourselves to the point of extremely unhealthy? Or say it's something that you really cannot digest now, but you need to come back to it later, and that's okay. Sometimes something can't be unpacked right now. But so long as you are recognizing it, you're able to acknowledge it without spiraling. And you're not overriding the emotion. And you're maintaining trust with yourself. And those are the most important things you can possibly do to not only maintain a good, healthy relationship with yourself and start realizing that you can be authentic and that you can actually trust yourself and your intuition and your personal feelings, but you're able to feel that freedom of knowing there is one spot, one person that you can finally just let go. Another thing that you can possibly say to yourself whenever you are not okay at that point is acknowledgement is enough for now. After you recognize that you're reacting and that you are choosing to let yourself feel this, but in a safer way, or you're choosing to safely come back to it later. Because sometimes acknowledgement is enough to help you get to that next step. Now, real quick, if you've been enjoying these evening rituals and teachings, I do share an early access link on my Patreon before they go public on YouTube. And it's not really a space where you're going to get a whole crazy amount of extra content or pressure to do better. It's simply early access to the same evening videos to a time that you don't have to go, oh my God, it's 7:30, I need to jump on there, or crap, it's 9:30 at night, I missed the video. I'll just have to get to it tomorrow and pray that you remember. Absolutely not. It's just a way to get them a few hours early. I typically try to do 7 to 8 hours early for my Patreon viewers. And I also make sure that all the tiers, depending on your preference, where you also get a few personalized readings without the extra cost. But there's nothing extra that you're not going to get here. Just an option that to help slide things into your life a little bit easier. No obligation, just an invitation on extra ways to become a better, easier you. But before I let you go, please remember, shadow work isn't always about repair. Sometimes it's just building a better relationship with yourself. Affirmations, unfortunately, will never erase pain, but they can reduce isolation and also help ease that pain. The only thing that really matters in shadow work is consistency, far more than intensity. You don't need to love every part of yourself. Just stop abandoning them. You are a beautiful and wonderful creature. And before I let you go, I have one more affirmation to let you go with. And this one might be the most helpful of all. I meet myself with presence. I bring light gently. I am allowed to be human. Have a fabulous night, guys, and I'll see all of you tomorrow.